If you're tracking the governor's race now, more than a year out, congratulations, you're one of us. And you know that at this stage, really the only thing other than the occasional job approval poll that we can use to gauge competitiveness is fundraising. Each reporting deadline is a milestone that means different things for different candidates. Our Line Opinion panel is here to help gauge progress. Joining us this week, Merritt Allen, owner of Vox Optima Public Relations. A former state senator and Line regular Diane Snyder returns. Always good to see you. An attorney and Line regular Sophie Martin is back for a turn as well. Now back to my milestone analogy, guys. For the governor, she's racing to bury Republican fundraising and make her victory seem inevitable. For Republican candidates, the milestone is a chance to claim the coveted frontrunner mantle. Merritt, got to go with you on this. Which of those things mean more to you at this point? Dough in the bank or that frontrunner status?
Oh, absolutely, the front-runner status. And of course, my good friend, State Representative Rebecca Dow, is kind of wiping the floor with the other GOP candidates. Even considering she put her the fund she had in her state representative account and her governor account, she raised over $300,000. And she's got nearly $540,000 in her campaign account. And what's notable, if you go
can I ask Merritt, in context, is that a lot this time around? Is it for folks who don't fundraise?
Her average donation is $111. So this isn't the big PAC money. This isn't the big lobbyist corporate money. She's raising money in Rio Arriba County. So what that is an indicator is she's on the road, she's working hard, she's shaking hands, she's everywhere. So I think there's a lot of data to be gleaned from the campaign finance reports to the rest of the field. If you weren't taking her seriously before, certainly are taking her seriously now. She's got more than twice as much money than any other candidate. And I see no sign of her letting up. It's only going to snowball from here. So, I think it's pretty big.
Let me ask Sophie this. Ms. Dow, as we're talking about, we're going to move on to other things too, but Ms. Dow, her campaign comparing her 440 to Susana Martinez's first run and how she hauled money that first time around. Is that an apt analogy here in 2021?
But I think it can be,
okay.
And I think as well, as we're talking, I think Rebecca Dow has good name recognition. I think amongst especially Republicans who are really paying attention, but perhaps less, statewide reputation than certainly than the current governor does. But Susana Martinez kind of came out of nowhere too, with name recognition amongst Republicans, especially in the southern part of the state. But compared to who she ran against, she wasn't as well known. And so it'll be interesting to see whether Rebecca Dow can sort of bootstrap up into that larger, more broad, widespread, I should say, name recognition statewide.
Sure, makes sense.
The money will certainly help her with that.
Absolutely, no question there. Senator, is there a sense among Republicans that there's anything significant about this reporting period? As I said earlier, we're more than a year out from the election and more than a half a year from the primary. Are we making too much of this right now? Or sometimes folks like Ms. Dow talking about money early, it means something?
I was just going to say, early money makes the biggest difference than anything. And I think the thing that was surprising to me is I had heard through the grapevine, and I know a couple of the other candidates, is I was surprised at how much more Rebecca has raised. And if you take out her legislative campaign money that she transferred in, which is legal, folks, she's still outraised the other Republican candidates. So I thought it was a real clear message that we have some change going on in the Republican Party, because as Merritt said, I believe it's Merritt, said she's raising money in places like Rio Arriba County that we wouldn't normally think a conservative from tier C or so down there would be getting contributions. So yes, I think the thing that I think she has going for her, of course, that none of the other candidates have, is the fact that so many legislators and others give her the absolute credit for us having the Ethics Commission
Mhm.
because she did some fancy footwork, all legal folks, because she knew her parliamentary procedure, and she was able to get that bill passed in the House at the very last minute of the session and over the major objections of the Speaker of the House.
And
So
also independent redistricting, the same thing. She can
Right.
get stuff done.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant is the redistricting. Thank you.
Let me throw
So
another, let me throw another name out there because we don't want to make this the Rebecca Dow show.
Sure.
That's for sure. But
Oh, yeah, we can.
well, not really.
No.
Sophie, let me ask you this: rumors about Mark Ronchetti getting back in. I mean, just a
Oh,
natural
you know-
consequence of time and vacuum and all that kind of thing, or is this?
I was really wanting my next comment to be, so I'm just going to throw it in. What a sea change I think there is in that we really are talking about. We're talking about female governors, female front runners for governor. That this is a big deal, not just in our state, but I think it's a big deal for our nation in a way to be like, look at these powerful women running for these positions. So Mark Ronchetti, I mean, personally, don't mess up my narrative, but also, I guess he built something with his last go, and so I wouldn't be
It's
surprised
a
if he
statewide
didn't come
run.
back.
I mean, it's not as if he
Yeah.
was doing stuff off his couch. It was a legit statewide. Does that
I
not?
mean, I thought that his yes. I mean, I think to your point, I think it was a legit run. I would be really curious to see what polling looks like behind him.
Yeah.
Whether given how it played out last time, whether he's likely to pick up any additional votes this time is sort of up in the air for me.
Yeah.
Um,
So, Merritt, what's real quick, your sense of the Ronchetti thing? Too early to talk about until we see something concrete? We shouldn't be talking about it? It
Well,
almost seems
I
like it
think
can't
we
be
have-
helped.
yeah.
I think we have to wait and, he'll obviously go with Jay McCluskey again. And so it won't happen until after the Albuquerque mayor's race, since McCluskey's busy running Manny Gonzalez's campaign.
Yeah.
And, Ronchetti, I think coming in within 5 points of Ben Ray Lujan, that was a very respectable race where he was not favored at all. And what he pulled off was very hard to do is he had to go hard right in the primary, and then he pulled center very credibly in the general election. Obviously, that's Rebecca Dow's strategy. And so I think that will definitely change up the race. He raised money, and then has proved that he can pivot to the center and pick up votes.
Let me.
So yes, I think that's a game changer.
I hear you. Let me bring our governor back in. I think we all expected a healthy total from the governor, who has ready access to Washington fundraising streams, et cetera, et cetera. Senator, anything surprising about this? I mean, $2.5 million in the bank. It's a pretty good amount of money.
I think at this point, that's perfectly acceptable. Maybe a little above the average right now. I think she will continue to bring in money. I think for the first time, I'm going to take a look at is how much money is coming from out of state, because we talked about the big influence, the big people, the big PACs going in and giving, and it'll just and just as an interesting point for me to see, has she had, because she's had a little drop in the polls in some areas. So is that forcing her to go out of state to raise the big bucks, instead of, whereas right now, the Republican candidates are all pretty much local. Very few had the maximum contributions that they're allowed. So I think our governor will continue to raise great money. It'll be interesting to see, and I look forward to the race. I think it would be so exciting, and I quite truthfully, don't get me wrong, because I've got a lot of Republican candidate friends. I think it'd be very interesting to see another woman versus woman candidate race.
Yeah.
Just because I think Merritt or Sophie said, it's a different world we're living in right now. And I like seeing more women running. Now, the day will come when we have both a woman gubernatorial candidate and a woman lieutenant governor candidate.
Yeah.
So we still have a goal to reach here. So
Real quick, guys, I want to get Sophie starting with you. Kind of a significant thing here. The Secretary of State has once again started auditing finance reports. It was a big deal when it began a few years back. I see Senator reacting. She knows what that was like back then. But it only happened once between then and now. Should we be demanding a little bit more right here? Is the time not ripe for this? And I also see we've got some elected folk looking for more money to augment staff in the committees that are overlooking these things.
I mean, it feels like the work of this group is still kind of getting off the ground. You know, there were some issues before, and so there is going to be a request for additional funding, additional staffing. They actually lost some staff earlier, and so, you know, I think even to meet the goals that are set for them now, it sounds like they need more staffing and more funds, but they have an ambitious
and $1 million+ budget they're looking for to do it.
Right, right, and they're looking at expanding their work. So I mean, I think it's not unreasonable if there's support for the work of the Ethics Commission. It's not unreasonable that they would need more resources to make that happen. Now, there is some debate about the merits of that work, and I guess I will leave that to Merritt or Diane if they want to talk about it further. But
regrettably, we're out of time on that one, but we're going to pick up on that as time goes along. Good toss there. We're out of time, but campaigns certainly aren't done fundraising, so we'll be revisiting both totals and enforcement as we get closer to next year's election.